My fiancé Asher went to Europe to expand the market, and when he returned he brought back an assistant named Soo Tion. He said she was exceptionally capable, graduated from a prestigious university, and was a rare talent. But this talent said with teary eyes and a pitiful expression upon seeing me for the first time, "Miss Chin, I only marry love and will be Asher's only wife. I will never become a sacrifice in your business marriage." I looked at the pink diamond ring that Asher had just purchased with a value of 3 million, and frowned slightly in apparent distress. Marriage of convenience? But Asher and I are perfectly matched, and we're having our engagement ceremony next month to announce it to the world. What should I do? Soo Tion's face went pale. Asher immediately protected her by standing in front of her and frowned at me. "Nora, Tion is innocent and pure-hearted. Don't scare her. Our engagement. How about you understand for now? Once the company goes public and stabilizes, I'll give you an explanation." I laughed. "My father is the largest investor in this company, and I possess the core technology patents that the company relies on for survival. No matter who becomes president, I will be a worthy president's wife." The engagement party was held as scheduled. Prominent figures from Beijing attended, marking an important announcement of the merger of our two business empires. As the MC invited Asher to put on my engagement ring, he held the ring in his hand but hesitated to act. He looked at me, his eyes filled with apology and entreaty. "Nora, I'm sorry. For the company's future and for Tion, let's postpone the engagement ceremony." He thought I would compromise for the greater good. After all, I had been his most business partner these past few years. Under the stage, Soo Tion stood in the corner, her eyes with the light of victory. The guests began to whisper among themselves. All eyes focused on me as they waited to see the joke of the Chin family's young miss. I took the ring from Asher's hand, flicked it lightly in the air and then smiled. I picked up the microphone, my voice not loud, but clear and carrying throughout the entire banquet hall. "Mr. is right. There are indeed some issues between us, so our engagement needs to be taken seriously." Asher let out a sigh of relief, thinking that I had given in. I turned the conversation abruptly, my smile becoming colder. "Therefore, I have decided that from this moment on, I will formally terminate my engagement with Mr. Asher. Meanwhile, I looked toward my father below the stage. "I announce on behalf of the Chin family that we are unilaterally withdrawing all investments from the family group and permanently terminating the patent usage authorization for the Heavenly Dome series of chips." Asher's complexion drained of all color instantly. He stared at me in disbelief. "Nora, you're out of your mind?" I ignored him and walked down the stage, sweeping my skirt as I went, directly toward the one man in the entire audience who could stand against Asher, his mortal enemy Felix Lee. I came to a halt before him, ignoring his penetrating gaze, and raised the champagne flute in my hand. "President Lee, your communist ideology, my technology is the best in the world. Now, are you interested in discussing a deal that could double your company's market value?" The banquet hall was brilliantly lit, with crystal chandeliers reflecting rainbow lights. The air was filled with the scent of champagne and top-tier perfumes. All of this was because of the few words I had just said, plunging everything into a deathly silence. Everyone seemed to have been paused like a button pressed. Asher's face changed from deathly pale to iron gray, then to an incredulous crimson red. He strode down from the stage in big steps, trying to grab my wrist. "Nora Chin, do you know what you're talking about?" His voice was distorted by his urgency and anger. I stepped sideways to avoid him, not even grazing the hem of my dress. I just looked at him, my eyes devoid of anger, devoid of sadness, filled only with a ridiculous sense of watching a clown's performance. "I know exactly what I'm talking about, President Gu." I deliberately emphasized the words President Gu. "Rather, you don't seem to understand what you've given up." Felix stood across from me, his expression sharp, a playful smile curling at the corner of his mouth. He didn't answer my question immediately, but instead watched the spectacle with great interest. His gaze was like that of a hunting falcon, sharp and filled with aggression. "Miss Chin, are you sure?" His deep voice rang out, carrying a barely perceptible note of admiration. "I never make decisions without confidence." I raised my cup and clinked it with him across the distance. "President Lee, dare you gamble?" "Why wouldn't I dare?" Felix Lee took over the conversation, directly ignoring the furious Asher beside him. Asher completely lost control. He pointed at me, then at Felix Lee, his voice hoarse. Nora Chin, you would collaborate with this despicable man just to take revenge on me? What did you treat our years of feelings for? Feelings? I was about to burst into laughter. Our relationship was a $3 billion investment from the Chin family, Mainland of the Heavenly Dome, Chip through countless sleepless nights, and every cornerstone of his business empire. Now he wants to destroy it all for some secretary's so-called pure love. How absolutely ridiculous. Su Tian in the corner was also panicked now. The victory light on her face had completely disappeared, replaced by a look of terror. He probably thought I would at most cry and complain, ask questions, and then be soothed with a few words by Asher. She never could have imagined that I would directly knock over the table. She ran over quickly, grabbed Asher's sleeve, and tears came streaming down her face. Asher, it's all my fault. Miss Chin, don't blame Asher, he's just too kind, he doesn't want to hurt anyone. This acting skill is truly masterful. I looked at her coldly. I didn't want to hurt anyone, so you chose to give me the greatest humiliation in front of all the prominent figures of the capital at the engagement party? Miss Su, you can keep your sacrificing for love script for your own enjoyment. Don't dirty my eyes. Having said that, I didn't look at them even once more. I made a please gesture to Felix Lee. President Lee, it's too noisy here. Let's go somewhere else to talk. Felix Lee nodded, took off his suit jacket and gentlemanly draped it over my shoulders, blocking out all the hostile glances from around us. It's my pleasure, President Chin. He called me President Chin, not Miss Chin. I was arm in arm with him, walking out of the banquet hall with my head high and chest out amid hundreds of bewildered, shocked and schadenfreude-filled gazes. Behind us were Asher furious roars and the sharp sound of a plate shattering. A farce finally came to an end. But a true business slaughter was just beginning. Felix's sharp car stopped at the hotel entrance. The black Rolls-Royce Phantom was understated yet luxurious, just like him, deep and unfathomable. In the car he handed me a cup of warm water. Feeling better? I took the water cup and shook my head. I don't need to recover from anything. Just handling a failed investment, stopping losses promptly is my profession. My calmness seemed to surprise Felix quite a bit. He looked at me deeply. I always thought you loved him. I love a partner who has a business mind and keeps contractual spirit. I took a sip of water and said calmly. Clearly, Asher lacks both. He is both foolish and arrogant, and he likes to think he's clever. Such a partner keep for the new year? Felix gave a harsh laugh, his laughter deep and pleasant. Nora Chin, you are far more interesting than I imagined. Then, let's talk about that deal that could double my company's market value. I put down the water glass and my eyes regained the shrewdness and sharpness of a businessman. The Sky Dome series chips, do you know their value? Felix nodded sharply. The core of the Gu family, the future of the entire industry. Exactly. But the patents for Sky Dome have always been under my personal name. I'm only licensing their use to the Gu family. I am now revoking the authorization. Not only that, I also have the complete technical plan for Sky Dome 2.0, whose performance is at least 3 times better than what's currently on the market. Felix's sharp pupils suddenly contracted. He leaned forward and a powerful sense of oppression came rushing toward him. Your terms. Start a new company. You provide the capital, I provide the technology. I'll hold 51% of the shares and have absolute control. I want to get the new product to market within 3 months and completely capture all of Gu's market share. I want Gu's to go bankrupt. When I spoke the last 2 words, my tone was as calm as talking about the weather. Felix stared at me intensely for a full 10 seconds. Then he smiled. Deal. He reached out his hand. I grasped it. Cold but full of power. This was a promise from a strong person. We signed the letter of intent for cooperation overnight. The next morning, the financial circles of Beijing were completely blown apart. Group announces complete withdrawal of all investments in Gu Group. Nora Chin of the Chin family unilaterally terminates her engagement with Gu Group CEO Asher and terminates the Heavenly Dome chip patent licensing. Suggests that Nora Chin has formed a partnership with Felix Lee, Gu Group's deadly rival, and will establish a new company. 3 major news stories like 3 nuclear bombs, Blew the stock price of the GU Group to pieces. Drop limit hit at opening. Countless investors wailed across the land. The company's phone was blown up, partners called urgently to question, and bank collection notices followed in quick succession. The GU family group, this seemingly invincible commercial giant, had its foundation completely undermined by me in a single night. Collapse was merely a matter of time. Asher GU was in complete chaos. He called me countless times and sent me countless messages. From angry questions to urgent explanations and finally to desperate pleas. I didn't answer a single one, not even a text. He probably finally realized that I wasn't joking. So he began his performance. He brought Su Tian to accept an exclusive interview with a financial media outlet. In front of the camera, Asher looked exhausted with dark circles under his eyes. He portrayed himself as a deep-thinking man who would fight against the whole world for true love. There is no left between me and Nora, only business interests binding us together. It was Tiandian's appearance that helped me understand what true love really is. Love is priceless and should not be corrupted by capital. I admit I let Nora down, but I can't deceive my own heart. I hope she can calm down and not let her personal emotions affect the future of both companies or the livelihoods of thousands of employees. His words were so eloquent and righteous, placing himself on the moral high ground. As for Su Tian by his side, she took the pure and innocent act to its utmost extreme. She remained makeup-free throughout, wearing a faded cotton dress that had been washed many times, crying with tears like raindrops on pear blossoms. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have fallen in love with Asher. Miss Qin, please take all your anger out on me. Don't put Asher through this. The company is his life's work. If you'll just let the GU family go, I'm willing to leave Asher. I'm willing to step aside. While she spoke of being willing to withdraw, she clutched Asher GU's hand tightly. What a moving, pure love drama it was. For a moment, the online sentiment shifted dramatically. Netizens who were unaware of the truth were deceived by them and began to sympathize with this pair of struggling for love, unfortunate lovers. Turns out it was a business marriage. No wonder Miss Qin was so ruthless. Heartbreak for Mr. GU and Su Tian. What's wrong with love? Isn't that Nora Qin too vicious? Turning love into hate, she wants to destroy a listed company. Su Tian seized the opportunity and started a live broadcast. In front of the camera, she sobbed about how pure her love for Asher GU was, and how she was suppressed by me, this capital's young lady. Rewards and sympathy flooded the live broadcast room like a tide. She has become something of a pure love war god fighting against capital. Asher looked at the improving public opinion and seemed to sigh with relief. He thought that using moral coercion and public pressure would be enough to force me to comply. He was too naive. Before absolute capital and power, public opinion was nothing more than a joke. I sat in the president's office of my new company, watching Su Tian's crying face on the screen, my smile at the corner of my mouth growing colder and colder. To my legal team beside me, I only said one sentence. It's our turn now. My counterattack was fast, precise, and ruthless. First, my legal team released a document to the media. It was the wagering agreement I signed with the GU Group. The terms were clear and explicit. The premise for Qinsher investment was that GU Group had to successfully go public within this year. If they failed to do so on schedule, Asher GU would need to pledge all his personal assets as collateral to repurchase all the shares currently held by Qinsher. In other words, if the IPO failed, he would end up with nothing. The moment this agreement was released, public opinion erupted. Damn, so it's not just simple investment, it's a bet contract. Does this mean Nora Qin's withdrawal of investment is a legitimate business move, completely unrelated to feelings? Asher GU signed his own name. Now he's turning around to play the victim, saying the other party acted out of hatred born from love? Too shameless. Asher's deeply emotional person image first showed cracks. But this was merely an appetizer. Immediately afterward, an anonymous account released a video online. The video was filmed at a top luxury store in Europe. In the scene, Su Tianqiao smiled sweetly as she tried on various pieces of jewelry and bags. She said to the sales assistant, this one, and that one too, please wrap them up. Then she took out a card from her bag and handed it over. That card was Asher GU's secondary card. At the end of the video, a long shopping list was attached. From $1 million watches to tens of thousands of yuan bags, to limited edition dresses. In just half a month, the spending reached several million yuan. The video's title was concise and to the point. Pure Love Warrior Su Tian. Love shouldn't be corrupted by capital but can be blown up by a credit card. This video was like a deep-sea bomb completely exploding across the internet. Fans who were just cheering for Su Tian in the livestream were all stunned the next moment. Is this really that Su Tian who wore a cotton cloth dress and said she doesn't love money? Wow, crying about being true love while spending money from her fiancé's family to buy luxury goods? Such a slap, so loud and clear. Best tea leaf of the year. So her so-called pure love just means pure love of money, right? Su Tian's livestream room was instantly flooded with angry comments. She turned pale with fear and quickly turned off the livestream. The persona of the pure love warrior collapsed overnight, becoming a laughingstock across the entire internet. Adhere attempted to handle the crisis, issuing a statement saying that everything was for work purposes. But nobody believed it anymore. The anger of investors and the mockery of netizens flooded over them like a tidal wave. The stock price of the GU Group plummeted again in response. This time it was 3 consecutive dating limit down days. Within the company, morale was shaken and resignation letters flew to Adhere Gu's desk like snowflakes. He attempted to calm the employees and called an emergency meeting. But just as the meeting was halfway through, a message even more despairing arrived. The new company Tianji Technology, that I established with Felix Ren Show, was officially inaugurated. We held a grand press conference. At the conference I stood under the spotlight, calm and confident. Skypole will focus on the research, development and application of next-generation artificial intelligence chips. Our goal is to lead the next technological era. And beside me stood a person. His name is Dr. Li, the head of the technical department of the GU Group, and the core leader of the Sky Dome chip development team. Besides him, the dozen or so people behind him were all core members of GU's technology department. That's right. I recruited the entire core technical team from GU's. With 3 times the salary and 5% equity incentives from the new company. Faced with such irresistible terms and the GU's precarious future, no one would choose to stay. When Adhere Gu saw this news broadcast in the conference room, he slammed his phone hard onto the ground. His eyes bulged with rage, his face pale as death. He knew this was the real Fudichuxing. Without investment he can find more. Without the market he can seize it again. But without the core technology team, the GU family is left with nothing but an empty shell. A completely futureless shell. He rushed out of the company like a madman, drove to the building of Tianji Technology. He wanted to see me. But he couldn't even enter the company's main gate. The security guard stopped him. Sir, you cannot enter without an appointment. I'm Adhere Gu. You let Norachin come down to see me, he roared hysterically. The security guard looked at him as if he were a madman. This scene was captured by passing media and quickly spread across the entire internet. The once confident president of the GU Corporation now resembled a stray dog, throwing a tantrum at the entrance of another company. How ironic. I was in my office on the top floor, watching the disheveled figure downstairs through the surveillance monitor. Felix stood harshly beside me, handing me a cup of coffee. Want to go down and see him? I shook my head. No need. I picked up the internal phone and connected to the front desk. Have President Li come down and tell Mr. Gu a sentence. Felix Li raised an eyebrow, clearly very interested. He took the elevator down to the lobby and walked up to Adhere Gu. Adhere's eyes turned red with rage when he saw him, as if he were about to devour him. Felix. You despicable scoundrel. You cowardly person who takes advantage of others in their time of need. Make Nora come down. Felix looked down at him from above, a sneer playing at the corners of his mouth. He spoke slowly, repeating my words word for word. President Gu, President Qin is in a meeting. She said there's nothing to discuss with failed investment targets. Failed investment targets. Adhere Gu repeated the sentence to himself as if all his strength had been drained from his body, staggering back 2 steps. This sentence hurt him more than any venomous curse could. It completely denied all the value of his entire person. In the business field he took pride in, I labeled him as a failure. This was the ultimate humiliation for him. Adhere's disheveled appearance didn't earn me any sympathy whatsoever. In business dealings, tears are never believed. With Felix and I working together, our actions became increasingly swift. Sky Pole Technology had only been established for a month when we held our product launch event. I personally took the stage to launch our new intelligent chip, Qiming, based on the Tianqiong 2.0 technology. The performance of Qiming comprehensively surpasses Tianqiong 1.0, the technology that Gu's company has relied on for survival. The computing speed has increased threefold, while power consumption has been reduced by 50%. At the launch event, we signed cooperation orders with dozens of top domestic and international technology companies on the spot. These companies were originally the biggest clients of Gu Group. Now they unhesitatingly abandoned Gu Group and chose us. The market made its choice in the harshest way possible. On the day Qiming chip was launched, Gu Group's stock price fell below its issue price. The bank's collection calls completely overwhelmed the Gu family's finance department. Partners rushed to terminate agreements and demand compensation. Suppliers cut off supplies and blocked the company entrance to demand payment. Everyone kicked down the wall when it fell. The once mighty business empire is now disintegrating at a speed visible to the naked eye. Asher had tried every possible means. He went to plead with my father but was directly turned away at the door. The Qin family's stance was clear. Everything would be done according to my word. He tried to steal the Qiming technology data again, but was caught red-handed by our security system, nearly getting sued to court. He was like a wild beast trapped in a cage, Fengkong Ly charging and colliding, but only ended up with severe injuries all over his body. Finally, the last straw that broke the camel's back arrived. The largest creditor bank of the Gu Group announced the asset liquidation of the Gu Group. This means that the Gu Group has officially declared bankruptcy. When this news spread, Gu Asher's father, the chairman of the Gu Group, couldn't bear the blow and suffered a cerebral hemorrhage on the spot, being rushed to the ICU. Gu Asher waited by the resuscitation room door, going completely gray-haired in one night. He finally tasted the bitterness of being abandoned by everyone and having nothing left. And what about Su Tian, who kept saying she loved him? The day after Gu Corporation announced bankruptcy, Su Tian disappeared. She vanished without a trace. When Asher Gu returned from the hospital to the apartment they had shared, he found only chaos and disorder. All the valuable items in the house were gone, including the last bit of cash left in his private account, which Su Tian had also transferred away entirely. On the table only a letter remained. The handwriting was delicate, but the content was like a poisoned dagger. Asher, forgive my leaving without saying goodbye. I love you and this is true. But I'm sorry I can't go through hardships with you. I was afraid of poverty from a young age. What I want is a life of luxury and comfort, the feeling of standing at the pinnacle of the pyramid. You were able to give me these once, but you can't anymore. I thought you could handle Nora Qin, but I was wrong. You couldn't even keep such a wonderful woman like Nora Qin. How could you give me the future I want? Forget about me, we're not people from the same world. Hope you are well. Those who have loved you, Su Tian. The letter slipped from Asher Gu's trembling hands. He stood like a statue in the empty room for a very long time. He finally understood that Su Tian's pure love was nothing but a carefully calculated investment. She invested in his identity, his money, his future. When he fell into complete ruin, she withdrew her investment without hesitation, going off to seek the next superior investment target. How ridiculous he was, actually giving up on me, giving up the entire empire, all because of such a woman. Overwhelming regret and pain surged over him like a tide. He ran out of the apartment stumblingly, wandering aimlessly in the heavy rain. The city's neon lights blurred his vision. He looked up and saw a news broadcast playing on the largest LED billboard in the city center. In the news, Felix and I stood side by side, jointly endorsing the new product of Tianji technology. We are a perfect match in looks and talent, full of vigor and ambition. The title below the screen stabbed at his eyes. Of a new business empire, Qin Li's marriage alliance creates a myth. Marriage alliance. Myth. Asher looked at the screen where my confident and composed smile was displayed. That smile had once belonged to him. It was me who accompanied him from a small company step by step to the pinnacle of the industry. It was me who paved all the paths for him and cleared away all the obstacles. He once had the world's best business partners, the best wife. But he with his own hands pushed all of this away. For what? For that pitiful sense of self-respect? For that ethereal desire for conquest? Pft! A mouthful of blood spewed from Asher's mouth. He could no longer bear it, collapsing to his knees in the cold rain, letting out a beast-like wail. He's getting anxious. He was truly, utterly desperate. 3 months later, my engagement party with Felix was held at the most prestigious 7-star hotel in Jing City. This banquet was hailed as the engagement of the century. The attendees were top figures from all walks of life around the globe. Political figures, business tycoons, tech moguls. Under the joint leadership of me and Felix Li, Tianji Technology has become a global leader in the chip industry, with its market value exceeding 1 trillion, creating a miracle in business history. Felix Li and I, from being initial business partners, gradually developed deeper feelings for each other. He understands my ambitions, appreciates my skills, and respects every decision I make. We are comrades, confidants, and even soulmates. The union of 2 strong individuals is inherently the most solid relationship in this world. In the banquet hall, I wore a custom-made starry nightgown, my arm linked with Felix Li's, receiving blessings from everyone present. Felix Li looked at me with such tender eyes that love seemed to flow from them. "Nora, you look absolutely beautiful today." I smiled. President Li's taste has always been excellent. Just as the MC announced the ring-exchanging ceremony, the banquet hall doors were suddenly slammed open from the outside. A man in tattered clothes, reeking of alcohol, rushed in like a madman. It was Asher's Gu. He was emaciated beyond recognition, his eyes clouded, his face covered in a thick beard, looking like a homeless man on the street. The guests at the event were all stunned. Security guards immediately rushed forward to try to stop him. But he exerted all his strength and broke free from the security guard, charging straight toward me. There was a thud. He knelt down. He knelt before me, looking up with tears streaming down his face. "Nora. I was wrong, I really was wrong. Please come back, okay? Let's start over. Su Tian, that whore, she was just a moment of madness on my part. The one I've loved all along has always been you, only you." He was crying while trying to grab at my skirt hem. Felix stepped forward aggressively, positioning himself behind me protectively with an icy, blade-like gaze. "Throw him out." The security guards immediately stepped forward, grasping Asher Gu's arms from both sides. Asher Gu continued struggling wildly, roaring, "Nora, give me another chance. If the Gu family is gone, we can create a new one. A company greater than Heavenly Pole. I'll do anything if you just come back." His voice, in the magnificent banquet hall, sounded so shrill and yet so ridiculous. The surrounding guests all looked at him with eyes like those of a madman. I didn't even twitch an eyebrow from start to finish. I was just linking my arm with Felix Li's, wearing a slightly appropriate look of confusion, and gently asked Felix Li beside me, "Felix, this gentleman is... do we know each other?" My voice wasn't loud, but it was like the sharpest knife, precisely piercing Asher Gu's heart. His struggling motion instantly froze. He looked at me in disbelief, his eyes filled with despair. Forgetfulness. It is a more cruel form of torturous execution than hatred. I don't even deign to hate him. I gave a casual instruction to the security guard beside me. "Security, can you have this person who's ruining the party atmosphere escorted out?" "Yes, Mr. Chin." Asher looked like a dead dog being dragged out of the banquet hall. In his final glimpse, I took the dazzling diamond ring from Felix's harsh hand and slipped it onto my ring finger. The entire crowd erupted in thunderous applause. Asher Gu 被赶出酒店后，像一具行尸走肉，在街头游荡。他的世界彻底崩塌了。我那句"我们认识吗"成为了压垮他的最后一根稻草。他输了。Lost, utterly beaten to a pulp. He lost the company, lost his status, lost his wealth. He even lost the right to be hated by me. He walked aimlessly, arriving at the entrance of a bar. The TV at the bar entrance was playing an entertainment news report. The female subject of the news was none other than Su Tian. She was arm in arm with a balding billionaire who was even older than Gu Fu, enjoying a vacation on a foreign beach, smiling like a flower in full bloom. The reporter asked her what she thought about her ex-boyfriend Asher Gu's bankruptcy. She smiled sweetly at the camera. "Mr. Gu, Oh, we haven't been in touch for a long time. He started muttering nonsense on the streets. Sometimes he would point at passers-by and curse them out as traitors. Sometimes he would also kneel on the ground, crying out into the air in repentance. Dad, I'm sorry to you. The company will go public, it definitely will go public. He was completely lost in his own fantasies. No one paid attention to him. He had become a truly homeless madman. Winter arrived. Jing City experienced its first snowfall. I am on a ski vacation in Switzerland with Felix Lee. We are in a wooden cabin on the mountain top with a roaring fire in the fireplace. I lean against Felix Lee's chest, watching the snow falling outside the window. International news is playing on the TV. A local news story, fleeting and brief. In the news footage, police are setting up a cordon in front of a derelict villa. The host delivers the report in a flat tone. Early this morning, police discovered a male frozen corpse in front of a villa in the suburbs. After confirmation, the deceased is Asher Gu, former president of the Gu Group. According to the investigation, the man had been mentally unstable for several days, and the initial cause of death is judged to be hypothermia. That villa was a place Asher and I had once planned to buy as our wedding home. What a irony. Felix grabbed the remote control roughly, wanting to change the channel. I held his hand. No need. My tone was calm and expressionless, like I was listening to a stranger's story that had nothing to do with me. Felix stared at me sharply, his eyes filled with a hint of concern. I smiled at him. It's all in the past. Yes, it's all in the past. The man named Asher Gu, along with that foolish past, would eventually be buried by time like the snow outside the window, leaving no trace behind. I picked up the remote control and calmly changed the channel. A light romantic comedy began playing on TV. I nestled into Felix's warm embrace, continuing to enjoy my honeymoon. Outside the window, the wind and snow continued. While my world had long been a vast clear sky, my commercial empire was just beginning. The myth belonging to me and Felix Lee was just beginning. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be bringing you new and exciting content every week, so don't miss out. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comments section. Let's discuss and share together. Remember to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any story updates. Thank you for your support and we'll see you next time.